Welcome back, traders. We're going to be getting into ticker symbol AMC today, and it's going to be a little bit more of a chillax video. We're going over the short term, the macro, the fundamentals, everything and anything about AMC stock. So make sure to stay the full length of the video. And I wanted to say thank you, give a special shout out and say thank you to the foundation of this channel, which happens to be Risk on Assets. Make sure to slap the subscribe button and let's get straight into it, guys. So AMC, fundamentally, not the best company. However, on the charts, we've been covering this since June, and you have this wedge formation or this symmetrical triangle formation gearing up here to make a double bottom formation and a very bullish one at that. So that is that is what I'm looking at here on the chart on the monthly time frame. And it does look very similar to your previous bottom here. This double bottom monthly formation into a squeeze candle that was 525% of the monthly. And I don't think we're far away from getting something similar here because of a few things, right? Rate cuts. The Fed cut rates today. That is a beautiful, beautiful sign for bulls. And I'm not sure what was going on here. I know that this was like the COVID stimulus checks, and rates were aggressively cut here. Not to say that they're aggressively cut here because they're much more soft, but the printers are booted up and risk on assets are ready to run in so many different baskets: crypto, Neo, Gamestop, IWM, right? All of these are great examples of what could carry AMC up alone. But the chart itself looks very similar to 2021. And I didn't want to take that away from you guys because you look at this leg down, this midline leg down, you're now looking for that secondary reaction or the leg up. And maybe this is some kind of Adam and Eve double bottom. Very possible, right? As you see, this is more of a recovery play on movie theaters, and it should be treated as such. However, right, there's many, many spots in this chart that are going to act as significant resistance. And you can see that on the RSI, on the monthly time frame, we are trading in a symmetrical triangle. Now, these are typically a bearish continuation pattern. We will have to see once this breaks what this chart does, because typically the RSI will break first before the chart, showing almost like a fortune teller what the chart is about to do. And I can show you guys an example of that following in I think it's the daily time frame, right? And I wanted to predicate this video by saying not financial advice, but today I bought AMC stock, and I wanted to kind of cover of why my thesis on this stock is bullish and what makes me believe so, right? But the macro, you are in a symmetrical wedge in the RSI. You are in a wedge formation. You could call it a falling wedge. You could call it just a wedge on the macro double bottom, right? You zoom out here, or zoom back in, excuse me. You zoom back in, and you can see within this bigger wedge, you are still within a falling wedge. And this falling wedge, you had a fake out breakdown here last week, and now you are going and traveling to the top of it. If we go into the daily, it gives a better example of this, right? Boom, 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 boom. There we go. So you had this fake out candle in which you closed a doji candle, which showed indecision by the bears, and then you've kind of traded in this channel back up. But what I wanted to show you is just like that symmetrical triangle that we anticipate a breakout on. Boom. We have a falling wedge on the RSI that you have broken out of. And you're now having that throwback retest to that RSI band, as well as this topside resistance. So this is inherently bullish for me. This gets me absolutely jacked, seeing that AMC has broken the top side resistance and is now coming back to test after rates were cut. Gamestop looks absolutely primed to fill gaps northward. And I think it's about time that AMC starts to catch up to these broader sized market moves until it eventually gets its own winning fundamental news, right? But this is a very bullish sign on the AMC daily. And we should expect some kind of, maybe it's a doji and a doji and a doji consolidation, right? And maybe that's not the case. Maybe you just go, but typically these things are retested. At least the RSI band is what I would be expecting, right? And maybe that's a throwback to the bottom of this resistance trend at 270. If that's the case, guys, and you consolidate all the way, if you consolidate all the way into the pinnacle of this wedge, that'll take you around November 10th to November 14th, probably. And you ask yourselves, what's happening around November 10th and November 14th that could be a significant catalyst for AMC to move to the north side to our tippity toppity 360 resistance. This is very comparable to the Neo resistance at 560 that we covered. 360 has been a reflection point in this stock in which you've rejected, gotten above and pumped, rejected, knifed below, pretty much rejected here, rejected, bounced hard off of, and I mean bounced hard twice. But 360 has been a very deep inflection point on this stock. And I would anticipate if you get up to 350, right, that maybe you do something along the lines of this. Boom. Boom. Right? It's very possible that you see a sharp rejection from 360 one more time, and then a test of this sloping resistance that has acted like an absolute bully, right? I say that often on AMC because these resistance trends can just send you all the way back down, and it can be very rough to watch as a trader. But typically when you break them on AMC, you see these significant rallies to the upside, and I would not be surprised to see that once more. And so that's what we're looking at on AMC. We're looking at a falling wedge in which you've already broken on the RSI. That is intrinsically bullish, and I'd be interested to see how much longer you trade in here because on just Grok, right, I was curious before I made my purchase of AMC shares. I said, can you give me the top slated AMC theater movie hits coming? And it gave me a couple, none that I was particularly interested in. But next quarter, guys, AMC earnings are early November. But next quarter, November 21st, is a day to watch for. Wicked 2, anticipated and projected $1 billion plus from the previous movie success with Ariana Grande, star power, making this a holiday season must-see. I would anticipate this to act as a very bullish catalyst in the stock, especially if they can continue to cut costs. I could see this contributing to a very, very nice quarter. So you dial it back, right? You have a macro wedge, a macro double bottom, a micro wedge, an RSI breakout of that micro wedge. You have a bullish slate of movies coming in the next quarter. And then on top of all that, you just have so many, like the scene is set to all the traders. The scene is set, guys, for these kinds of stocks to succeed heavily. You have a very, very healthy and stable market, and the economic policies like rate cuts are going to help us tremendously. So it's very, very good to see. Let's go back into AMC, and now let's pull up AMC on Webull. Let's pull it up on Webull because Webull does a very, very good job of showing where you are. So on Webull, you rejected the 50-day EMA and you almost closed above the 9. What you want to see on Webull is you need to get above this 50 EMA because once you're above the 50, guys, you will very quickly see a test of this topside resistance. And with the 200-day EMA, mind you guys, the 200-day EMA has acted once again like a bully for this stock. You just have been slapped down by it time and time and time and time again. So that if you cross this 200-day exponential moving average, that will have been the most bullish thing you've done on this chart since 2021. And I say that with absolute confidence and certainty. Let me just take a time travel, a little moment in time for you guys to reflect on what made this thing run the way it did. Yes, you had people like Matt Kors, you had people like Traps Trades, or you had people like Trades, excuse me. You had people like Lou. You had people like Adam Aaron coming out publicly and speaking on these things during this whole meme craze. But more importantly, guys, the thing that got institutions into this stock was this golden cross here, February 3rd, 2021. February 3rd, 2021. You saw a golden cross and a test of it with a strong bounce into this pennant before you broke out, retested, and saw that June gamma squeeze. I've said it many times, and I'll say it again. The shares that we held throughout this was a lot less valuable than the lessons we learned. You now have the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, apes and apettes, to replicate that beginning of the June squeeze and the January squeeze by getting above the 50, getting above the 200, and forcing a daily cross on these you-know-whats, right? Forcing a daily cross it turns heads. It makes people take off their glasses. People begin to look at AMC as a potential buy play. As you can see, the long-term momentum shift in this stock. And it's not just the daily golden cross that we're looking for because GameStop's going to get it first. But once AMC gets it, I would anticipate that strings along with it a quarterly MACD cross for the first time since 2021. And the next two quarters that followed that cross, guys, were 381% and 455%. So when I have this, when I'm cultivated and I am passionate about a retail revolution coming back to the stock market, I say this with courage that I'll be right, because if I'm wrong, I know everyone's going to absolute poop on me for that. I say it with courage here, and I go out on a limb because of the fact that these macro indicators are shifting. And could you get rug pulled? Abso-freaking-lutely. But the stage is set. These are the perfect conditions for AMC to do something in which it has not done in over 5 years. And so what you need to see from a bullish sentiment side, you need to learn, everyone watching this, you need to learn what the Bollinger Bands are. You need to get above the mid Bollinger Band at 377. Because getting above 377, you'll be above the 50 EMA. You'll be above the 200-day EMA. And you'll be pressuring these bands to begin to expand, right? When I first started covering AMC, I covered the Bollinger Bands made by John Bollinger, which indicate extended periods of consolidation, guys. Especially on these meme stocks or risk-on assets, consolidation does not last forever. And typically, when on the longer frame or longer time frame, aka the monthly, when the Bollinger Bands are the tightest they've ever been since back here, you would anticipate to see a dramatic and volatile move, guys, just like you saw back here. You had candles 55%, down 49%, down 32%, up 48%, down 39%, up 500%, right? That's the kind of volatility that I'm talking about. That is what you could begin to see on this stock as these begin to expand further. And I don't believe that it is a coincidence, right, that all of these different things began to snowball as rates are cut, as GameStop is looking to go to Pluto, as AMC has a actual chance at a profitable quarter next quarter. I'm not sure about this quarter. I have no idea what movies are slated. But what I do know is AMC has continued to improve their fundamentals. They are oversold to absolute the depths of dirt, right? You're in the dirt here. But what I know for sure, I go into this monthly and I look at the RSI. I look at the RSI, I look at the price, right? And if you guys know me, you know I talk about the RSI forever. It is such a good trend-seeking indicator. You can see here, right, that you made a bullish touch of divergence. You made a lower low in price, but you made a higher low in the RSI. Well, what do you see here? Let's delete that. You can see you've made a lower low in price, dramatic lower low in price, hundreds of % lower low in price, but a dramatic higher high in the RSI. And all of this while you get a double bottom formation, all of this while AMC and GameStop are both to the point where it's hard to qualify them as meme stocks. They're genuinely improving their company, and the short thesis continues to dwindle. And you have things like this, right? These are all tremendous signs for the bulls and reason that I like the stock at 282. I do. My last thing, and then I'll wrap it up here for you guys. You can see that on AMC, let's get rid of some of these trend lines. You can see that on AMC, you have 3 red lines above you. Each of these red lines indicate significant historical landmarks and significant historic resistance. Typically, price acts like a magnet to these indicators, like the 200-day EMA. And typically, price will come test these gap fills, at least test. You could get smacked down from 13 all the way back to 3, just the way you did back here, right? This was nasty. People bought up here. I know people that bought up here. But if you had the opportunity to see January squeeze-like price percentages, I mean, just to 13, that gap fill is almost 400%. The gap fill up to 19 is 600%. And the gap fill up to our previous break is 1,400%, guys. And that would complete your double bottom. To give you perspective, right? I would go back and reflect on this double bottom formation. And I would say the absolute low to the absolute top was only 1,000%, guys. And so when people ask me, why am I buying AMC right now? The question is, why aren't you, right? The absolute worst case scenario is this thing goes bankrupt. Very possible, right? Very, very possible. I'm not advocating for it, but it's very, very possible. I am putting into this stock what I'm willing to lose, and I would anticipate others to do so with their own due diligence, right? It's not financial advice. But those ask returns are 1 in a million. That's like a Carvana-esque return, right? You saw $3 up to 413 in the span of 3 years. AMC looks amazing. So that's the video, guys. Thank each and every single one of you guys. God bless you and your families. And make sure to subscribe and tune in for the next video. It's my 3rd video today. I am not stopping. I will continue this channel until we become one of the biggest financial stock channels on the entire YouTube platform. So please make sure, get in early, slap the subscribe button, and let's build this thing. Thank you guys, and peace.